Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to a tutorial video on how to integrate the Mixer Streaming Interactive API with the Windows 10/Bedrock edition of Minecraft. Those of you who play Minecraft on the Windows 10 version may be aware that the latest beta allows you to hook into the Mixer Interactive API. Mixer is a streaming platform that has interactive buttons underneath the stream, and with this interactivity, you can click buttons on the stream that you're watching and affect the in-game world. Allow me to demonstrate that right now. I'm going to switch over to my Mixer screen so you can see what my streaming page looks like. Right now, you should see my Mixer streaming page. Up here is where I would be live streaming if I were currently live, but I'm offline for this demonstration. I've got two buttons available underneath my stream. Morning, that makes it morning in-game, and Zombie, which spawns a zombie on top of my player character. Let's switch back to Minecraft so you can see what happens when I click these buttons. I'm going to click the morning button right now. And you'll see that it made it morning in-game. Great. And if I click the zombie button, it summons a zombie immediately. Great. So how do we get this working and set this up? Pretty much any in-game command can be tied to a button, or a sequence of commands. Personally, I think this is a really cool and exciting feature, because it's honestly the first time that content creators are able to give their viewers the ability to directly and immediately interact with the in-game world. The stream delay on Mixer is less than a second, as many of you who have watched my Mixer streams in the past are probably aware of. So this means that if you click a button, you immediately see the effect of the button you clicked occurring in your world. This is really cool. So you can create all kinds of complex scenarios. You could create mini-games where your viewers control the things that you experience in the mini-game. There's really no end to what you can do with this functionality, and that's why I think it's a really exciting thing to be able to show you guys how to set it all up. So without further ado, let's see how this works. So the first thing you're going to want to do is visit mixer.com/lab. You're going to want to log in with your Mixer account that you use to stream with. It's also important to note that the Mixer account that you log in with, which is tied to your Microsoft account, is the same Microsoft account that you log into the Windows Store when you launch Minecraft for Windows 10. So if you're using Minecraft Windows 10 and you log into the Windows Store, make sure that same Microsoft account is used to log into Mixer when you're live streaming, because those two accounts have to be the same. Once you log into mixer.com/lab, you may see a bunch of interactive projects here, but if you've never built an interactive project on your Mixer account, you may see nothing here. That's fine. We're going to start from scratch and create a new interactive project by clicking New Project. Now, all you need to do is give it a title. So I'm going to call this YouTube Video Tutorial and hit Save. We now have a brand new project that we can use to create some buttons. Underneath this project, you can give it a custom image if you want, because you're able to share this with other people. You can also specify which game it's for. This is optional, but you can go ahead and specify that it's for Minecraft, and then give some details about what the project actually does. In this case, it's all optional, so I'm just going to leave it blank and hit Save. The next step is to go to Build. This is where you're going to build each of the individual buttons that exist for your viewers to click, and designate how they're going to appear on the viewer's dashboard. The first thing we're going to do is create a button. To do that, click the plus button under this controls option. You will see that we want to first give it a name. So let's demonstrate how to create a spawn zombie function. So first we're going to name the button. That's what the viewers are going to see when they have the button on their screen. So we're going to hit zombie there, and we're going to designate it a button type. There's also a joystick type, which we won't be covering in this tutorial, and we're going to hit add. Perfect. This button is named Zombie behind the scenes, but the text that shows up on the button itself that viewers actually see is designated here. So I'm going to call it Spawn Zombie. And Spark Cost is the cost in sparks. As viewers watch Mixer, they earn sparks. I think it's 2 sparks every minute or something like that. And basically you can charge them sparks for this button. I'm currently going to set the spark cost to 10. You can set it to be whatever you want. You could optionally give it a keyboard control so that viewers who are watching can press a key on their keyboard and it'll activate this button, but for now I'm going to leave it blank. Finally, you can create a tooltip, which is what's going to show up underneath the button when the viewer mouses over it. Will spawn a zombie is what I'll put in the tooltip for now. So we've designated some information about this button, but now we need to tell it more details. we're going to want to add a couple properties. The first property you want to add is going to be called command. This has to be named command. In prior versions of this API, you didn't have to name it anything specific, but in this case, in the newer version of this, you do have to name this command. So it is important to name this property command. And in the value, you want to type in the command that you want to run in game. So in this case, I'm going to do /summon zombie. That is going to run on your player. So just as if you typed /summon zombie in game, it will show up and run summon zombie when somebody clicks this button. And we'll hit save. The next property we might want to add is called cooldown. And the cooldown property we want to have be a number. This is how long in seconds the button is unavailable for after it's clicked. So once you click it, if you want to make sure that it can't be clicked again for a certain number of seconds, you can specify the cooldown. In this case, I'm going to set it to 15 seconds and hit save. Excellent. We now have a zombie button. Great. Now we need to designate where this button appears on your Mixer Interactive dashboard. To do that, simply click and drag right onto this area. This blue area right here represents the area underneath my stream that we saw earlier. And you can change the size and position of the spawn zombie button as much as you want and place it wherever you want. Now, there are actually three dashboards that are available. The first one by default is the large grid. That's what's going to show up on desktops. The next one is the medium grid. That's what's going to show up for tablets. So if people are watching your Mixer stream on their tablets, you're going to want to make sure they have access to the buttons as well. So make sure to put a spawn zombie button there, and you might want it to be a slightly different size or a slightly different location. And finally, the third one is small grids, and this is what viewers on phones are going to see. And again, that's a different size grid. So you're going to want to go ahead and throw the spawn zombie button on there. In this tutorial, we will only be demonstrating the large grid desktop. Once that's all done, you can click Save on the top right. At this point, you're pretty close to being ready. The only other step that you have to do, and you will only ever have to do this once for this project, is open up this button up here, which is Manage how this project is shared with other people. Right now, nobody can use the project. That's not what we want. We want to allow it so that anyone who has the version ID and code can use the project. And you'll note the version ID and code are shown here. We're going to want to copy this code to the clipboard because we're going to need to type it into our Minecraft instance in just a moment. So now, from this point forward, anyone, including you guys, the viewers, can use this project that I'm building in the Mixer lab, as long as you use the same version ID and code that I'm showing here. Let's go ahead and show you how to load that into the game. So the version ID is 138833. I'm going to save that, and back in Minecraft, we're going to start Mixer. Mixer start 138833 and the code. Interactivity is enabled as shown at the top left. If we go back to our Mixer page, we will see that we now have a button underneath our stream that says Spawn Zombie. It costs 10 sparks, and the tooltip is Spawn a Zombie. Excellent. If we go back to our Minecraft world, I'm going to go ahead and click that button right now. Perfect. As easy as that, we were able to spawn a zombie on top of the player. Any in-game command can be programmed into that command button. Pretty easy to set up. The next thing I'd like to demonstrate is how to have a Mixer button execute multiple commands. So to do that, we simply need to add a new button. So let's call it Spooky Time. We're going to add this as a button, and we're going to fill out the following properties. We'll make the button text Spooky Time. The spark cost is going to be a little bit more this time, 25 sparks. The tooltip will be dark plus thunder. That's what we're going to do in game. So our command is simple. To execute multiple commands, you just put a new line between each of them. So if you want it to make it dark, you do time set 1800. If you want it to rain and have thunder, we'll do weather thunder. With these two commands in sequence with a line between them, the first line will run first, the second line will run second. So we can hit save here. Next, we're going to want a cooldown command, or a cooldown meta value property. We'll make this 60, so that it can only run once every 60 seconds. That's all we have to do. We're done. The Spooky Time button is ready. We drag it onto our dashboard here so that viewers have an actual button to click on, and we can designate where it sits. Great. We can save it. Once it's saved, it's not going to immediately be available on our dashboard. We will have to go into Minecraft and type the following command, mixer stop. That will remove the buttons from our dashboard altogether. We have to restart the Mixer Interactive to use the new button. So I'm going to go ahead and restart that in Minecraft right now so you can see how quickly this occurs and what it looks like to your viewers. Once you do Mixer Start, we'll use the same version ID and the same share code. Once I hit enter, you'll see their interactive buttons are immediately available. And now I'm going to click on Spooky Time so you guys can see what happens. I'll switch back to Minecraft and we'll click on Spooky Time right now. And you'll see it immediately went dark and started raining. Nice. And we have a thunderstorm going on as well. Beautiful. Now, if we'd like to make it a little bit easier for our viewers to give us a little bit of a nice day, we can create a button that does the opposite. So we'll call it Nice Day and hit Add. This button has a spark cost also of 25, and we'll do Clear plus Sun. The command value property will be time set 0 and weather clear, and hit save. And our cooldown property will be a number value of 60, and save. We'll drag that onto the dashboard wherever we want it to sit, and hit save. And then in game, I'm going to type Mixer Stop, Mixer Start, and the same share code and ID again. And you can see Nice Day is immediately available. Now if a viewer clicks on Nice Day, you'll see the weather stops, the sun is out, and at the top of the screen it tells you who clicked it and what button they clicked. So it says Direwolf 20 activated Nice Day. Pretty easy and pretty cool. Now this is a perfect segue into another feature that might be really useful. Let's say we didn't want these two buttons to just be spammed, right? Oh, look, you made it rain, and then less than a second later another user clicks, oh, make it sunny. So those buttons, it would be nice if you could set up a shared cooldown on those two things. So to do that is actually possible and pretty easy. First off, you're going to have to add two new metadata properties. So let's refresh our memory on how this works. Each of these buttons has a 60-second cooldown. Spooky Time and Nice Day have 60-second cooldowns. What I'm going to do is add a metadata property, and it's going to be called Group. Group is a text-based metadata property, and any buttons that share the same group name can share the same cooldown. So this group name will be Weather, and we will hit Save. You can also add a property called Group Cooldown, which is a number which works just like cooldown does, but it's a group cooldown. I'm going to set this to 15 seconds. What that means is if another button is clicked that's a member of the same group, this button will go on cooldown for the group cooldown amount, 15 seconds. If this button is clicked, it goes on cooldown for the cooldown amount, which is 60 seconds. So let's demonstrate. In order for this to work, we need two buttons to be part of the same group. So Nice Day, I will add a metadata value called group that will be text-based, and it will be the exact same value, weather, okay? We will add group cooldown. Now this could be different if you want, but I'm gonna make it 15 seconds just to demonstrate it and hit save. Great. So let's save this project and go ahead and start Mixer Interactive. Okay, now I'm gonna click the Spooky Time button. The cooldown on Spooky Time is set to 60 seconds. So that means when I click this button right here, this button will go on for 60 seconds. These two buttons are part of the same group, which means that when I click Spooky Time, the other button is going to go on a 15-second cooldown. Got it? Because that's the group cooldown on the Nice Weather. So let's give it a shot. Spooky Time, notice that Spooky Time went on a 60-second cooldown, and Nice Weather went on a 15-second cooldown. Sweet. Now the Nice Day is available again. Now, this button is still on cooldown, so when I click this, were it not on cooldown, it would have gone on a 15-second, but since it's already on a cooldown that's greater than 15 seconds, clicking Nice Day gets rid of the weather in Minecraft, which you can't see right now, but take my word for it. And then the Nice Day button went on a 60-second cooldown. FYI, buttons can be part of more than one group. All you have to do is separate them with a comma. So this could be weather, comma, time, so that these two, you could have a separate button for just make it day, but not affect the weather. And that could be part of the time group. And then you could have another button that says maybe, make it a thunderstorm, but not affect the time. And that could be part of the weather group. But then nice day does both weather and time. So you can be part of multiple groups, right? You could have weather, you could have time, you could have as many groups as you want, just separate them by commas. Now, if you'd like to do something creative by chaining command blocks in game, you can set up any command block chain in game that you want. This command block chain is a very simple one, but those of you who've done advanced things with command blocks know you can do a lot with these things. This one's very simple. All it does is first, it executes the command direwolf20, gets zapped by a lightning bolt. And then the next command that executes is it sets this block in this position to Minecraft air. Why do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple. The command I'm going to put into the Mixer API is going to be this one, which sets the block in that position to a redstone block, which will activate the first command block. Once the first command block is done running, the next command block will run, which sets that first block to air. This is a neat way to go ahead and execute in-game command chains. So if we do this, I get zapped by lightning, and then it replaces the redstone block with air. Pretty straightforward. So if we wanted to give that button available to our viewers, it's really, really simple. All we need to do is make sure that we have that command ready, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new button for it. So let's call it Zap Dire. We're going to add that button. Zap Dire has a spark cost of 25. Lightning is fun. Add property. The command will be simply setting the block in the world that is right behind the command block to a redstone block. That's all we have to do. And then, optionally, of course, we can add a cooldown of, let's make it 25 seconds. So every 25 seconds, the viewers can click that button. Simple and straightforward. Now all we have to do is drag it onto the grid. And of course, you'll want to resize it. And of course, don't forget to put your buttons on your medium and small grids as well, so that viewers watching you on their tablets or on their phones can also interact. Now we just simply need to restart and stop the API in-game by executing /mixer stop. And you'll see this happening right here. So it's stopped, and now /mixer start. And we should have a Zap Dire button. Of course, it's small, I didn't resize it, but it would say Zap Dire if I made it an appropriate size. Now to demonstrate what it looks like in-game, I'm simply going to click that button. Notice how it quickly placed a redstone block. I got zapped with lightning because this command block executed, and then the next command block replaced the first one with air. So if you want to set up some complex command block chains in your world that get executed when viewers click buttons, you can do that with that neat trick. Another thing I'd like to demonstrate for you guys is scenes. So scenes are basically a collection of buttons. We're currently working in the default scene, which is the only scene we have defined, and that has the spawn zombie, spooky time, zap dire, and nice day commands. If we want to add a scene, it's pretty simple and straightforward. We click new scene, and we have to just name it. So let's call it mob scene and hit add. We now have a new scene, which we can define a new set of buttons and a whole new set of controls for on the viewer's screen. So let's add a button that summons a skeleton, just for simple demonstration purposes. Okay, so we'll add a skeleton button, spark cost of 25, tooltip, spawn skelly, and we'll add a property called command that does summon skeleton, and save. And then we'll add a property for cooldown with a number of 25 seconds. Perfect. We'll drag that onto the interactive screen here and hit save. So now we have two scenes. We have a default scene, which has these 4 buttons, and we'll even increase the size of Zap Dire so that we can see the full text. And then we have the mob scene that has the skeleton button. If we want to switch between scenes, it's an in-game command, and it's really pretty simple and straightforward to use. But first, let's go to our Mixer page here, and I'm going to stop and restart. Mixer stop, and then Mixer start. Now, you are always starting in the default scene. In order to change scenes, all we need to do in-game is type Mixer scene, and then the name of the scene. So in this case, mob scene. And if we look at our Mixer page, as soon as I press enter here, you'll notice it switches to that other scene that has the skeleton button. And then in Minecraft, when I click the skeleton button, it summons a skeleton on my head. Perfect. And again, reminder, any command that works in game can be done through those buttons, and you can have sequences of buttons as well. If we want to switch back to the default scene, we just do /mixer scene default. And when we look at what's going to show up here, as soon as I press enter, we'll see we're back in the default scene. So you can have multiple scenes that have multiple buttons available to them, and you can switch them at will. Pretty cool. And pretty easy to set up. All right, guys, that about wraps up the tutorial on how to do the Windows 10 Minecraft interaction with Mixer's interactive API. It's pretty easy to set up. It's really straightforward. So hopefully if you followed the instructions in this video, you were able to set it up yourself if you stream on Mixer. Now, right now, this is only available in the Bedrock or Windows 10 edition of Minecraft. However, there is currently a mod in the works for the Java edition of Minecraft, and you will be able to do all the same stuff in the Java edition of Minecraft really, really soon. You will need to install a Forge mod in order for that to be available to you guys, but once it's installed, it'll work on servers and it'll work on single-player instances, and you'll pretty much be able to do the exact same thing, but with Java, which is really cool. For now, Untitled 20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Take it easy.